In this video, I want to help show you and explain to you how you can operate your life out of an abundance and out of an overflow rather than out of a deficit. What's up, everybody? Thanks for sticking around. Here's the thing, right? Often life can feel overwhelming. And I want to tell you about a time last September. I took my family on the vacation of a lifetime. We went to Disney World. Now, here was the problem with that. We had planned that trip several months in advance, but by the time that the trip rolled around, so many things in our life were happening. First of all, I had just taken a new job in a whole nother state, 1,000 miles away from where I lived, and we were in the middle of selling our house. So our house was under contract, but we still owned it and lived in it back in Illinois and Chicago. And so I had come down to Texas to work a couple of weeks at my new job. I'd come down for a few days, I'd go back, I'd come down, I'd go back. And then on that second time of going back, we went to Disney, my entire family. I have insurance propositions and financing and people that are sending us our final closing disclosures and how much money we're gonna make. And I'm at Disney World and I'm white knuckling it to try and enjoy this trip. We're gonna enjoy this trip as a family. And we did, and it was fun and it was great, but I just felt overwhelmed because in addition to trying to be on vacation, take a deep breath and relax, I couldn't, because I still had to check my email every day. I had to make sure that all the things were getting signed. I had to make sure my insurance agent was responding to my lender, and my lender was getting all the documentation that my lender needed, and that I was getting the right quotes in the right places, and I was setting, literally one of the days, I walked down the hallway and I called the city of Fort Worth, and I set up my water bill, and I set up my electric, and I set up my gas, and I set up my internet. I set up my internet while a storm was raging, and I was standing behind a waterfall at the Polynesian pool, and the storm's raging, water's falling, and I had already started, and I was finishing up with Spectrum, getting my internet set up. It was overwhelming. And everyone felt it. I felt it, my wife felt it, my kids felt it. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. So we wanted to redo. So here we are, back again. But here's the thing. I want to show you how you can live out of a place of overflow. And it comes in a very counterintuitive kind of way. If you've been watching any of these other video series, this is the third in our playlist on this series called Pause. We just live in a world of more, and more. And what I want to challenge you in this video specifically to think about is the idea that more is not always more. Sometimes less is more. In fact, from the very first page, literally look, there's not a page before this. From the very first page of scripture, we see an example of this. God then said, "Let's make man in our image, according to our likeness. They will rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, the livestock, the whole earth, and the creatures that crawl on the earth." So God created man in his own image. He created them in the image of God. He then created them male and female. So right here, Genesis chapter 1, God created man and woman. What did he do after he created them? He created them and gave them a job. So I want to be very clear. Your job is not your nemesis. Going to school is not your nemesis. Work is a God-ordained thing that comes, by the way, because Genesis chapter 3 is where we see Adam and Eve eat the apple. They enter and usher sin into the world. Satan tempts them. But Genesis chapter 1, everything is still good. Everything is still in its utopian, perfected, perfect state. Nothing has been marred. And yet still, God introduces this idea of work. So he creates Adam and Eve. He gives them a job to do. And then what happens? I want you to see what happens the first couple verses of chapter 2. So the heavens and earth and everything in them were completed. On the seventh day, God had completed his work. God had just created everything, so he had completed his work, all that he had done, and then he rested on the seventh day from all his work that he had done. God blessed the seventh day, declared it holy, for on it he rested from all his work of creation. So God created Adam and Eve. He gave them a job, and then what's the very first thing that he had them do? The very first thing that Adam and Eve experienced after given a job, he said, but first, I'm gonna rest, and I want you to experience that rest. See, it's not lost on me, and it shouldn't be lost on you, that it's the first, symbolically, it's the first day of Adam and Eve's existence, is when they rested. They started with rest, and then launched into their job. How do you and I rest? Just got back from this crazy long thing, this big project I had due, this crazy baseball tournament I had this weekend. I need to kick my feet up and I need to relax. And yeah, you do, but oftentimes we rest as a reaction as opposed to resting proactively. And so Adam and Eve, because God handed it to them that way, they still had stuff to do, but they started with rest. That's this idea, this big Christian word called Sabbath. And Sabbath is this idea of first day rest. I want to give you a couple of different ways to look at the idea of Sabbath, which may seem like Christian-y and Christianese, but I want to challenge you to think about the Sabbath in these 4 different ways. The first is this: I want to challenge you to simply stop. Ask yourself this question right now. When in your week do you stop? You probably got school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday is sports, and Sunday is church, and you might be volunteering at church, so it's not very restful. You're just coming to church to work, and then boom, Monday starts again. When are you stopping? I also want to challenge you, step 2, to move from stopping to actually resting. There's a difference between not doing anything and actually engaging in rest. Because the reason that's important is our third step, which moves you from rest to delight, where you've stopped, you're resting, and now you're actually delighting in God and in his work. And that allows you to move to the 4th step of Sabbath, in which you contemplate. You contemplate who you are, your finiteness as a human, the fact that God is over and above all. And because of that, he gives you this amazing and full life. In fact, I want you to listen to this as I conclude this video. It's just this idea. This is Jesus talking in the book of John, chapter 15. If you've grown up in church at all, it's a very, very famous passage. But in the book of John, chapter 15, Jesus gives this imagery, calling himself the vine, the source, right? And we are the branches. And Sabbath is an opportunity for us to lean into our branchness, us to lean into the vine of our life. And I just want you to hear how Jesus describes it to his disciples. And even maybe listen, if you're watching this at home or in your room or whatever, I want you maybe even close your eyes and just imagine Jesus inviting you into this pause moment, this ability to slow down, to lean into the vine, right? Because out of that is where the abundance and the overflow comes from. So imagine this invitation right here, these words washing over you from Jesus saying this: I am the true vine. My Father is the gardener. Every branch in me that does not produce fruit, he removes. He prunes away every branch so that it can produce much fruit. So you are already clean because of the word that I have spoken to you. Remain in me and I in you. Just as a branch is unable to produce fruit by itself, unless it remains on the vine, neither can you unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. The one who remains in me and I in him produces much fruit, because you can do nothing without me. If anyone does not remain in me, he's thrown aside like a branch and he withers. They gather him, throw them into the fire, and they are burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you want and it will be done for you. My Father is glorified by this, that you produce much fruit and prove to be my disciples. operate out of an overflow because you choose to pause. On the first day, connect to the vine. Hey, what's up, friends? My name is Nick. So excited to have you join us for this video. And we just want to let you know that we are a local church in the DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth area. And if you're local to here and you're in 6th grade through 12th grade, we would love to invite you to come check us out Wednesday nights in person or Sunday mornings. But if you're not, or if you're just not ready to do that, we also want to let you know that we love interacting with you here online. So whether it's these long form videos or some of our YouTube shorts or hang out with us over on TikTok or Instagram, we are hoping to provide inspirational, creative, fun, silly content every single day, ultimately all with the aim of helping you take meaningful next steps in your faith to Jesus. If there's any way and anything, any prayer that we can offer for you as a pastor, we would love to invite you to do that. Hit us up in the DMs or shoot us a message some way, somehow. Until next time, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching this video. We're excited to be with you.